Alright, this is a preliminary video to the above named topic or below named topic. Um, First, I don't come to you as a rabbi or a pastor or even a scholar, but as a father. It's close to Pesach here, 14th of Nisan, just starting the afternoon here. And let me say this first. If you're one of these I believe what I believe, don't bother me with the facts kind of people, just click off this video right now. This is not for you. When what we believe is challenged, it creates what we call cognitive dissonance, which is a fancy term for a really uncomfortable feeling that most people will choose to cleave to what they believe, even if they're faced with facts, with truth that's in opposition to it. That's, of course, unless you cleave to the spirit of truth. And if that's you, if you want to know the truth, if you're a truth seeker, then maybe this video is for you. But again, if you just want to believe what you want to believe, just click off the video right now. I don't want your comments. This video is not for you. So, here's the thing. The Torah always has a scope. Okay, all the mitzvahs of the Torah have a scope. What we mean by that is they have a particular personage, at least, who they pertain to. We read this phrase in the Torah over and over again. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe le'emor daber el bnei Israel. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, speak to the children of Israel. So the scope often is, and we see this phrase over and over again, is the children of Israel, which those who have been grafted in believe that they're part of that. Some disagree, but basically, there's a scope. There's a scope. Sometimes some mitzvahs apply to Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe le'emor daber el Aaron el banav. Speak to Aaron and his sons. So sometimes the scope is Aaron and his sons. Sometimes the scope is just the priest. That's more rare, but it happens. The scope of Shemitah, or the sabbatical year, and Jubilee is Eretz Yisrael. Why? How do we know this? On the Peshat level. And there's always a spiritual application we know to Torah, but on the Peshat level, on the simple interpretation level. That's just not just my opinion. I believe you can find that in Rashi. The commentators don't talk about it much because it's kind of a given. Why? Because it says, when you enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you, then the land shall have its rest. So it applies to the land of Eretz Yisrael proper. So to apply the mitzvahs of, and of course curses as a result of them, to the nations is really a false premise. This is why, the nations we never see in history, like Israel, who went into exile over a sabbatical year issue, over the Sabbath issue, we don't find that among the nations. The nations have, through the hundreds of years, thousands of years of history, are not cursed and do not certainly go into exile over not keeping a sabbatical year, because it doesn't apply to the land of the nations. It applies to Israel, and Israel returns to its ancestral heritage. Furthermore, it's not something that is directly related to curses, especially as pertain to the nations. It's a time of freedom. It's a time of returning to ancestral heritage, something that doesn't apply also to the nations. We don't have land divided up by ancestral heritage that everyone can return to. So, or tribes and so forth. So, without even looking at the video, there's multiple things which I'm already getting at, and maybe some of you are very uncomfortable with this already. But I hope if you're still listening, and again, if this is challenging you to a point where it's making you uncomfortable, and you'd rather just believe what you want to believe than believe the truth, then just click off this. You don't have to watch this. But if you want to know the truth, I'm trying to tell you the truth right now about sabbatical years and jubilee years. The chart that is put out by the named ministry here, that says Jerusalem will be, conquered from the north, and names certain years of war, certain years of pestilence, certain years, it's wrong. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence. It doesn't take a lot of perception to look at the chart and go, this is wrong. What about SARS? What about swine flu, MERS, various pandemics, the West Nile virus? What about the Iraq war? Did that happen? That was 15 years. You don't have to, be too accurate with your predictions to get that right. It was a 15-year period. But yet, it doesn't fall during those periods of time. So I mean, I haven't even looked into it like really in depth, but even on a cursory level, looking at it, you can see that these predictions are false. If you want to keep following false predictions, that's a whole nother issue. Um, so I pray this finds you well. I pray that uh, you will not follow false teachings, and you know what Yeshua says about the blind lead the blind; they both fall into a ditch. And if you're teaching, especially, there's a special accountability for those who teach. You know, if you're teaching and you're misleading people as a result of this, I really exhort you away from that. Have a good day. God bless.